How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy King Calf, and I got a little bit of a different video that I want to share with you guys today. This one's going to be about anime. I know, a little different. It's not like my traditional gaming ones, but there's a show that I want to talk about. A specific show. And spoiler alert, if you can see behind me, you see all of these nice Dragon Ball figures. So, today we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Z, just because I feel that show is what captured the West the most, and I just want to look back at the amazing masterpiece that Dragon Ball is. So, man, I can remember when I first watched Dragon Ball. I remember coming home one day after daycare. I was young, I was really young. Came home after daycare, and I got an older brother. He's 9 years older than me, and I just see him watching this weird, crazy animated show with these buff guys just screaming and punching the ever lights out of each other. And just right away, I was hooked. Right away, the art style and just the whole atmosphere of the show captured me. And me and my brother were just massive fans right from the get-go. This is the early 90s. I'm dating myself a little bit by telling you this is the early 90s, but man, the impact that this show had on everybody of my age and even the older generation was insane. I mean, I've been a Dragon Ball fan for what, 20 years now. Whenever there's a new movie that's out, I'm there on launch day. New Dragon Ball game comes out, I pick that up day one, and just the franchise as a whole has just really captured me. And I always am reading the manga every month when the new chapter comes out. I'm always trying to talk to people about it. I'm always just so out there about my love for Dragon Ball. So in this episode, we're gonna bring it to the very start of Dragon Ball Z. Now I know some of you fans were like, King Calf, like, what about Dragon Ball when that's the original story? Like, no, we're talking about Dragon Ball Z because, like I said, that was what we got first in the West. Dragon Ball didn't come till a lot after, so I want to talk about Z and how Z was so impactful to not only me, but just millions of people throughout America. So I want to start talking about the Saiyan Saga specifically first. For one, that is where the Z portion of the story begins, but also that's the original intro to this entire universe that we got in the West. We didn't know what the term Saiyan was, but this is where you find out that Goku is actually an alien. His brother lands on Earth, tells him he's a Saiyan, tells him that he was sent to Earth to destroy his planet. But we all know that Goku suffered a pretty bad head injury that kind of made him stupid throughout the entire show, which made him forget his Saiyan tendencies, and now he's the iconic hero that we all love now. But it's a really cool way to start your story because previously people just thought that Goku was just some random kid with a tail and that he was just a little different, but people thought he was human. So Akira Toriyama just flipped the script completely and said, nah, Goku is an alien. He's from the planet Vegeta. He was supposed to destroy Earth. This is why there's so many weird things about him. And I just think it was a really cool way to flip your character's origin that way, because before then, people didn't really know what to think of Goku. And with the Saiyan Saga, it has a lot of cool introductions. It introduces, the Saiyans as a race. It introduces galactic villains and villains from other planets. It starts to, increase the entire universe of the Dragon Ball franchise just from this one arc. We then get Goku's son, Gohan, which is a very iconic character, especially later in the show. We get Piccolo turning into a hero because before then, Piccolo was Goku's rival. Like in the previous arc in Dragon Ball, Goku and Piccolo fought in the World Tournament, right? So allowing Goku and Piccolo to team up to fight Goku's brother, and this is the beginning of the series. Like, that's just a crazy way to start your show. It's very, very ballsy, and Akira Toriyama, I mean, I feel the Saiyan Saga, and spoiler alert, but the Frieza Saga is where he was really coming up with a full story with a full arc, and he actually planned everything properly. And the level of combat too in Z, when you watch Dragon Ball and then you watch Z, the combat is just completely different. There's a lot more, martial arts. identities in the original Dragon Ball. While Z, you do have a lot more just power scaling, just buff men punching each other. But early Dragon Ball Z, they still had that martial arts identity, which I really like. So one thing that I kind of don't like about newer Dragon Ball is that they forget that it was a martial arts manga originally. But aside from that, I do really like how Akira Toriyama kills Goku in the first arc. And that was just, again, another ballsy move. Like, you never have your hero die. It's very rare. I mean, in Dragon Ball, death doesn't really mean anything. But still, the fact that he killed the main protagonist with the first villain of Z, you gotta give him credit for that. It's a really good way to keep the viewers on edge and just let them know that this is a different story and you never know who's gonna live or die. And even in this fight, I mean, there's so many iconic things that happen in this fight. Piccolo uses special beam cannon for the first time, which is his most iconic move. Gohan, we first see Gohan's rage and his power boost that he gets when he gets angry. Is the first time we see that when he damages Raditz's armor. Very cool scene. And then we learn afterwards, after Goku, sacrifices himself to hold Raditz down so that Piccolo can kill both of them, we then find out that the Scouter is actually recording everything, and the two other Saiyans, who we will get into later, are going to be on their way to Earth in 1 year to finish the job and get the Dragon Balls. And again, we just had a really cool mini arc. Now the main event's coming, and it's just a perfect way to set things up. And then you have Piccolo taking Gohan for a year and training him because he sees the potential that this kid has, while Goku's in Otherworld training. It's a very cool setup for what becomes an even better arc later on. And I mean, then we get our first real training arc of the series. We have, the humans like Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu. We have them all training on Kami's lookout. We then have Goku running on Snake Way, getting into all his hijinks before he meets King Kai, who King Kai is one of the most underrated characters, I think, in Dragon Ball. He's so freaking funny. He's obsessed with jokes, specifically puns in the Japanese version, but I just like how he won't train Goku until Goku tells him a joke to laugh. It's just such a funny touch. And, Akira Toriyama, he's a comedy writer first. And I just like how, especially in early Z, he doesn't forget about his roots. He still throws in as much comedy as possible, and I just absolutely love it. And I mean, we got to talk about Piccolo and Gohan. Piccolo, the so-called surrogate father of Gohan now, it's just so funny how he takes this child who, is not even 6 years old, brings him to the wilderness, says, hey man, if you can survive for 6 months in the wilderness by yourself as a 6-year-old kid, I will train you for the other 6 months. Pretty savage, I know. But it's really funny because this is where you truly start to see Piccolo change, because Gohan is so nice to him, because Gohan is pure of heart, just like his father. And he's so nice to Piccolo, and he really makes Piccolo change his ways because Piccolo's not used to anyone ever treating him decently. And we do get a massive payoff for this later, but I just really like how they showed the character development between these two, which turned into a lifelong friendship throughout the entire series. So, we have their filler, we have your training, we have Goku in Otherworld learning the Kaioken, learning the Genki Dama, aka the Spirit Bomb, aka the move that should work always but doesn't. Then the Saiyans arrive. And this is where we get introduced to one of the most iconic anime characters of all time in any franchise, the Prince of all Saiyans, the Prince with the big forehead, Vegeta. And words cannot describe how iconic Vegeta is. Everybody knows who Vegeta is. The girls love him. The guys want to be him. It's freaking Vegeta. And this is where we get introduced to him. And this is Savage Vegeta. Like, he's a full-on villain. He thinks that everything revolves around him. He thinks he is the absolute shit. And it's just one of the better Vegetas in my opinion. And when the Saiyans arrive on Earth, the whole tone changes. Now there's just this act of desperation, because these Saiyans are way more powerful than anyone ever thought. And we have all of our heroes. We got Piccolo, Gohan, Krillin, Tien, Chaozu, all showing up at the battlefield to face Vegeta and Nappa. And we think that our heroes are going to put up a good fight. They do not. I mean, the beatdown that happens after. First off, okay, let's talk about the beatdowns beat by beat. So when the fight begins, all the heroes, they're thinking they're strong. Um, Vegeta and Nappa are so freaking cocky that they're like, you know what, we're not gonna fight. We're gonna send these little Cybermen out. These people that they plant in the ground, these little terrifying aliens. At first, Piccolo and Krillin, like, they're showing up. They're beating these Cybermen down. Like, Krillin is at his A game. People always shit on Krillin, but yo, early Dragon Ball Krillin, he had some shit packing, man. Like, he had some heat. He was cooking. Then we get the iconic Yamcha moment. Yamcha was like, yo, let me take these Cybermen on. Krillin, if you die, you can't get wished back. This is back in early Dragon Ball, where if you die once, you can't get wished back again. So he said, you've already been done in. If you go, you're gone forever. Cool. Yamcha takes him down. Yamcha goes and fights a Cyberman, and he does well. He beats one. He beats it down. He thinks he won. He's talking some trash. He says, "Oh, I'll take on the rest of them." And then that's when he puts his guard down. Cyberman jumps up on him. Suicide bombs itself, and then we get the iconic Yamcha death pose. And again, like, I remember watching this as a kid, and that traumatized me. Like, I was not expecting these little green alien guys to be like killing our heroes off. Like, that was just absolutely nuts. And then they beat the Cybermen. Piccolo probably gets one of the sickest kills in the entire franchise against the Cyberman with that mouth blast. Like, that was just such a sick scene. I love early Piccolo. Like, they really do Piccolo dirty after the Cell Saga, but man, like, early Piccolo is just so sick. And then we have Nappa versus everyone else, and man, this is hard to watch. So let me remind you, this entire fight, Goku just got wished back, and he's on his way to the battlefield. So pretty much the heroes just need to kind of like stall some time before Goku comes back. We have first Tien getting his arm knocked off by Nappa, which is brutal. We have Chaozu sacrificing himself to kill Nappa, which does absolutely nothing, doesn't even damage his clothes. And in Dragon Ball, if your clothes are damaged, that means that you're most likely damaged. Nothing at all. Then we have, Piccolo, his sacrifice against Gohan, which was a very, very iconic moment. I mean, this is where you truly see the impact that Gohan had on Piccolo. It's a very, very sweet scene. How he tells Gohan that he was the first one to talk to him decently, and then he dies. And unfortunately, when he dies, the Dragon Balls go, because this is when Piccolo and Kami, they're split, and Kami, as the guardian of the Earth, if he dies, the Dragon Balls go. So now the Dragon Balls are gone. So this is a pretty dire part, because you think that all the heroes that just died are never going to come back. And just right before Nappa's about to kill Gohan, we have Goku arrive, a couple seconds too late, but he gets here, and again, the tone completely changes when Goku hits the battlefield. This is another one of those iconic Dragon Ball moments. Goku landing back on Earth and fighting Nappa and Vegeta. Specifically Nappa, because this is where you actually truly see the level that Goku has gotten to. It's such a really powerful scene, because Goku's just ignoring all the villains. He doesn't even care. He's looking out for Krillin, he's looking out for his son, and then you see him just walk towards Nappa, all sturdy, all stern, and you know that, like, okay, Goku's built different. He's that guy right now. And yo, we just watched like 5-6 episodes of Nappa just stomping our heroes, and Goku makes Nappa look like an absolute joke. He puts his boots on Nappa's head. He, takes a blast straight up from Nappa's mouth, like face first, no sweat, is able to counter it with his own blast. And then when Nappa is told from Vegeta that, you're too angry, you're done with fighting, it's my turn, and he goes after Gohan and Krillin, and Goku whips out the Kaioken and just completely immobilizes Nappa. It's just such an iconic scene. Like, this is where you really see that Goku, this is a different Goku. And then we see how savage Vegeta is. Vegeta kills Nappa because he's no use to him. He sticks his hand out, offers him help, throws it up in the air, and destroys him. It's just, damn, like, Vegeta was on a different level. Like, he was on some crazy savage time. I love old Vegeta, man. He was just such a sick villain, such a sick anti-hero. At this point, he's a villain, but he's just, I really like the old school Vegeta compared to the new one. I still like Vegeta a lot, but Saiyan Saga Vegeta, man, shit. And then this is the main event. It's Goku versus Vegeta, and the stage is just set so well. We have this iconic scene in the mountains. Goku's at the bottom, Vegeta's at the top. They're looking at each other. It signifies where their place on planet Vegeta was. Goku was a low-class Saiyan. Vegeta was the prince. He looks down on Goku because Goku was sent to Earth because he was a low power level baby. And this is when the fight begins, and it's just such a great fight because at first you see Vegeta is winning the fight. Like, Vegeta is outclassing Goku in every single way, but then Goku uses Kaioken times 3. And this is probably one of my most favorite scenes in the entire franchise. I'm gonna play a clip right now, specifically the Japanese one, because just the atmosphere and the stage setting and how Akira Toriyama shows the impact of what Goku's doing right now and how it translates to the battlefield is just so masterfully done. You guys need to check this out. And this is when the fight turns. Like, Goku is beating down Vegeta at this point. He's punching, knocking Vegeta everywhere. Vegeta's getting pissed because he can't believe that this low-class Saiyan is doing all this damage to him. And the one thing I like is that you can really see that this is all having a toll on Goku's body, because in early Dragon Ball, Kaioken was seen as, it multiplies your power and your speed times 2, times 3, whatever times you're going to do it, but it's going to impact your body. Your body can only take so much because you're using so much of your muscle and energy at once that it really takes a toll on you. It can actually kill you if you don't use it properly. And we see the repercussions. Like, Goku, he's twitching, he's like out of breath completely. Like, I really like how they signify that, like, yeah, Goku's like, he's doing well, but how long can you keep this up for? And then we get probably one of the most iconic scenes ever in anime. Again, I keep saying that, but this is because this is early Dragon Ball, and early Dragon Ball, man, all of Dragon Ball Z has so many iconic moments in anime. But this is the classic beam struggle, the Gallic gun from the sky, the Kamehameha from the bottom, crazy effects. The rocks are flying everywhere, and then Goku screams times 4 and blasts Vegeta out, winning that beam struggle. You would think that this would be the end of the fight. In normal any other anime or cartoon, like, this is where the hero would win. No, Vegeta is fine. He's just pissed and his pride is hurt, and this kind of actually makes Vegeta have this rivalry with Goku after this specific moment. And then it just turns into a horror scene because Vegeta shoots Blitz waves into the sky and transforms into an Ozaru. Ozaru is when they turn into a giant ape. Goku did it as a kid, but his tail was removed by Kami in Dragon Ball. And Goku's just running for his life because Vegeta as an Ozaru just is way too powerful. Goku starts to use the Genki Dama, the Spirit Bomb, gets it knocked out of his hand, and then begins to get squeezed to death. And Krillin and Gohan, they return back to the battlefield trying to help. And I should mention that Yajirobe, if you guys don't know Yajirobe, is this little fat guy that loves to eat, got a sword, very, very weak character, but he always is the GOAT whenever he is needed. He saved Goku's life during the King Piccolo fight in Dragon Ball. And he saves his life again because as Goku is about to die again, Yajirobe jumps out of nowhere, slices Vegeta's tail off, another iconic moment, allowing the heroes to have hope again. And then after that, it just becomes a free-for-all. I mean, Gohan is fighting Vegeta and holding him off. Goku has another Genki Dama Spirit Bomb coming, and he gives it to Krillin. Krillin fires it at Vegeta, misses, but then Gohan bounces it back at him. And again, Vegeta doesn't die from this. He's still good. He's still willing to fight. And then, he starts to fight Gohan. Gohan grows his tail back. And Yajirobe saves Gohan's life because Vegeta's about to kill him before he wakes up. Yajirobe slices him with a sword, gets the shit kicked out of him again. It's just such a crazy battlefield. Like you would think that it's going to be a straight-on fight, but there's just so many twists and turns in this fight, and I absolutely love it. And I like how they just didn't make Goku win. Like, they made it so that Vegeta only loses because after Gohan turns into a giant ape, he gets his tail cut off by Vegeta, but then he lands on Vegeta, finally putting an end to the tyrant. And then we have the iconic scene again when he's trying to leave. Krillin's about to kill him, but then Goku says, no, let him live. I want to fight him again. In the original English dub, he says that I believe he can change, but no, Goku, it's a very selfish request. He wants to fight Vegeta again to prove that he can beat him. And then that's pretty much the end of the Saiyan Saga. Vegeta gets away, all the heroes are pretty much dead. It's just Goku, Gohan, and Krillin left. And it's a bittersweet ending because, sure, the Earth is saved and our heroes lived, most part. There were so many casualties. The Dragon Balls are gone. They don't know what to do. And then Krillin, he happened to hear Nappa make a comment that after Piccolo died and they had no longer had the Dragon Balls, he mentioned that we can get the Dragon Balls from Namek. And that line, it's a very, very low line. Like, it's a very, very hidden line, but that is what leads to the next arc. And I really like that. Like, the next arc connects perfectly from this arc because the repercussions and the consequences that happened in this arc is what leads to the next arc. And the next arc is based on everything that's happened before and even the previous arc. And it's just a really, really well-written story. And this is what I said, that Akira Toriyama had a plan. Like, he has the Sand arc, but he didn't plan on ending the Sand arc at the Sand arc. He wanted it to go into the Frieza arc to complete everything. And it was just so masterfully done. And I really like how he makes it, the overall message of this arc is that, it doesn't matter what your roots are, it's who you are now. Goku's roots was that he was from a murderous race of Saiyans, but he made his own destiny. And he was a low-class Saiyan, but he, from hard work and from his training, became one of the most powerful Saiyans that ever existed. And I really like how that message is shown, that it doesn't matter your roots, and that can even go to Piccolo as well. Piccolo is the son of King Piccolo, and his roots was that he's supposed to destroy the world. He's a villain, but it didn't make him that. He changed and became a hero after. And it's just a really, really, it's cliche, but, for one, this story is from the 80s or 90s, early 90s, but how it's just written and how it's not thrown in your face, it just makes it really, really well done, in my opinion. But yeah, I love the Saiyan Saga. I think the Saiyan Saga is a very underrated arc, which is kind of funny because it has so many iconic moments that are always referenced, but people don't talk about it as much as like the Frieza or the Cell Saga or even the Buu Saga. But the Saiyan arc, I think, is probably the most well-written arc with the least amount of filler in the anime portion, in my opinion. I feel that everything has a reason in it. And I feel like the pacing was done really well in this arc as well. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I just want to talk about the Sand arc. We are going to be talking about the Frieza arc next. I have a lot to say about that. I mean, a lot more happens in that arc, in my opinion. A lot of series-defining moments happen in that, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about that. So if you like what you see, definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm also going to be releasing some other videos upcoming as well. So definitely come back if you want to watch all that. But until then, catch y'all later. Peace.